Right, so I've got my Raspberry Pi project and it's in here at the moment. So I'm just running off the main, so I'm not using the battery power. I've got my sensor just chucked over the top there, so we're getting temperature, humidity and pressure. And then you can't quite see because the cable's a little bit too short, but the Victron cable's coming up, so monitoring the battery, and that's plugged into the USB port on there. So if you have a quick look here, because that's the only one that I've managed to set up at the moment, the Ray Marine stuff, so I can't actually work out how to get the face off this. It looks like it's, looking at the manual, that it's fixed from the back with 2 screws. However, I've tried to video the back of that and have a look, and I can't see the screws. So I don't know whether mine's screwed on from the front or what, so that needs a bit further investigation. So I haven't managed to get sort of the boat data into the Raspberry Pi just yet. So I'll come back and do another video on that. But what I have managed to do is get the batteries connected up. So not great because, there we go. So as you can see, so the USB's plugged in. And that appears as a serial connection, which I think I've videoed previously. So that there's the actual cable plugged in, and then you make a connection into signal K, which I've done there. And then if I go to the data browser, okay, so if you look here, it's receiving data from the Victron plugin. You can just see there. So one thing I did actually have to change is if you go to server and plugins, when I actually first set this up, I hadn't got, I don't know if you can see, I hadn't got dev in here. I just got the USB port and it didn't work, so I wasn't getting any data at all. So as it actually quite clearly says at the top of that, as an example, it's dev / and then whatever the device is. So you can get that information from the serial plugin or app, so you can get that there. So that's where it says. So if you go to the serial plugin, you'll see there, and it says there it's /dev and then whatever the port is that it's actually connected to. So that's the information that you need. So if you fire that up and it doesn't work, that's what it is. So once I change that, delete this out, it'll automatically populate that, and then just house and starter, click submit, back to the main dashboard. This suddenly spurred into life, and if you go to the data browser, I started to see battery information. Let's make sure that that's visible. So once that was in there, I then went to Grafana and I changed each one of these to that path. And now, as you can see, I can see the starter battery, the house, the charge, state of charge, time remaining, consumed, which isn't working quite correctly. And so I checked them basically against the app, and for some reason this one isn't quite right yet, so I need to just investigate that. But again, now we're getting the trending information so we can see. And if I turn the charger off, you should start to see in a second or two. In fact, let's load it in Kip. So if we open in Kip, okay, so it did exactly the same in Kip, went in and updated all of these dials, because obviously this is information in Kip is live rather than historical data or out of a database. So I've turned off the charger now, and as you can see, the time remaining just shy of 2 days. This value here isn't correct. There's something not quite right with this. This doesn't match the consumed value in the app, in the Victron app, so I'll need to have a look at that. But that hasn't populated either for some reason, but that should be at 1. Just see if we can give that a refresh. Maybe it hasn't had an update yet. But amps, so just turn the charger off and you can see we're drawing about half an amp at the moment. House battery's now at 13.85 and the starter's at 12.8. So that's all working really nice. And if I click the charger back on, there we go, charger's firing up and the voltage is going up and the amps going up, and the consumed will go to 0, but like I say, I'm not really sure what that value is, but it's starting to count down, and the time's pretty much, because the batteries are fully charged, we've got 1 minute, and you can see the historic data there has just changed. You can see all the little peaks and troughs as bits and bobs have been turned on in the boat over the last sort of day or so. But basically that's working really well. I need an extension, a USB extension cable, because the cable is not long enough, and then I can mount the Raspberry Pi in the middle there, and then the next plan is to move this screen and mount it in that space just there. Got my keyboard, and then I need to get the C-Talk information into it, so I just need to investigate that a little bit further, and just work out how I can connect into the back of that, or pick up the data from one of these devices, because these are all connected. So yeah, looking good.